Hey everyone, thank you for joining us for today's episode of the Doobert webinar series. So today we're going to be looking at our workflows, and these are probably one of the organization's most favorite features on Doobert because it is so great for saving time and streamlining any of your processes. So I'm really excited to share this one with you guys because I personally love all of the automation aspects in Doobert, and they're usually my most favorite to share on demos and things like this. So I'm really excited to teach you guys how to use the workflows. So checking out our agenda, we have just an overview of what the workflows are and a little bit about them. And then we'll look at when to use workflows and what you can add to them. And then we'll talk about how we can create our templates. These are for our text and email communications that we want to put in any of our workflows. And then we'll also look at how we can start initiating our workflows from the case. So if you're new to our webinar series, I'm Lena, your presenter. I've been with Doobert since last fall, and I love sharing my knowledge with you guys, and I hope you enjoy. So let's get into it. So for our overview, workflows are a customizable automated communication series. So you can build this any way you'd like using the components that it allows. And then these can also be auto-initiated following a form submission. So if you have a form that was built by us, we can make the workflows automatically go out once somebody submits your form, which is really great. And a lot of organizations love that for follow-ups or sending any additional information. And then we also have an auto-assign feature. So depending on your workflow, you can have the cases automatically assigned to any of your team members, which is really great. And a lot of organizations love that because it is great for splitting up your workload. And then we can also add actions to update our case types and statuses depending on whether the contact responds or not. So that's really great to keep the status up to date and current with what's going on with the case. So looking at our workflows guide, what we can do with these is add texts, emails, surveys, time delays, or an action. So a lot of different things you can do with these, and you can build them any way you'd like. So there's two different routes that you can go down with the workflows. It's whether they respond or whether they don't respond. Do we want to send them more information? Or if they do respond, do we want to end the workflow? So it's really great. It does the manual follow-ups for you, and you don't have to set your calendar reminders to follow up anymore. So that has been a huge time saver that we've seen for a lot of organizations using this feature. So when we create our templates have to be created before we can use them in the workflows. So what we're going to do is add a template. So with this, we can go into our templates tab in CCM, which we'll get into, and we will just create our templates. So you can include anything you want in these, and your text and email templates are separate. So if you have something that you want to send to someone in a text and an email, you'll just have to duplicate it. But besides that, you can put anything you'd like in here. So for example, we're going to do a follow-up workflow as just an example today, but some organizations like to send additional resources through this, links, really anything that the case might need in terms of resources, follow-ups, check-ins, surveys about how their pet is doing, things like that. And with this, you can customize your message in the template. So it has to be a non-customized message. So it can't include a name. It would have to just be a generic, hey there type of message. But because it will be sent to the contact, it won't be able to be customized because it's created ahead of time. But we can start building our workflow with our text and email templates once they are ready. And these are great for, like I said, your follow-ups, your check-ins, really anything that can be non-customized and automated if it's something that you're typically copying and pasting to everyone. And that is where we've seen it to be a huge time saver. So now we're going to jump into the system and start putting it all together. So right here we have our companion case management module. So I'm just going to click on that. So once we have that right here, we are going to go over to our templates. And now we can see all of the templates that we currently have. So what we're going to do is we can check out anything that we already have created, for example. So we have a text template for an accepted foster volunteer, which is great. So this is what a pre-existing one would look like. So it would be a text template right here, and then it would also have a name, which is for internal purposes. And then just as an example, we can say, welcome to Doobert's Foster Volunteer Program. We look forward to working with you and we'll be in touch soon. Let us know if you have any questions. So these are the type of messages that are typically included with the workflows. They're very generic, they're not customized, but they are good information. So I highly recommend adding any of your follow-ups, your check-ins, any accepted program information to your workflows. So with this one, this is a text template. So now we're going to make sure we have this one as an email as well, which we do. So that's really great. And here we have just the same information, but a little bit more because we don't have the character limit as the texts do for the emails. And we can also add a subject and say we want to attach any files, any terms and conditions, things like that for any of your programs. You can definitely do that in the emails. And by doing that, you'll just click on this little plus sign right here and you can add any files. So once all of that looks good and your template is good and ready, you can click save right here. But we're going to create a new one just so you guys can see the process. So I'm going to click on this plus sign and we're going to do an email template. So we're going to name this, or we're going to do a following up on your request. Whoops. So now we have Doobert team following up as our email subject line. So this would typically be used if, for example, you have a form that was built by us and you accept any applications through that form. This can be automatically sent out after. So this is just letting the applicant know, hey, we received your request. We will be in touch soon, just to give them a little bit something while the organization has to go through their process of reviewing and accepting, things like that. So now we can go ahead and put any context into our template. So we are just going to say, hey there, thanks for our pet food pantry. We've received your request and will review shortly. Please reply with any questions or concerns. So once our template looks good, we are following up and letting them know we've received their request. We've received your request. We'll review it shortly. Let them know they can respond with any questions. So now once all that looks good, we can go ahead and add any files if we need to, but for this one we don't need to, so we are just going to click save. So we have that right here. So now we are going to make one for a text. So thanks for applying, and we will say something similar to our email template. So, hey there, we've received your application and will be in touch soon to schedule your pet food pantry pickup. So a short message like that is always good for a text. Who doesn't always have their phone on them? So I highly recommend doing this. So once that looks good, we're going to go ahead and click save on our text template. So now we have our two templates ready. So since these are pre-created and we have them all good to go, we are going to go into our workflows tab and start creating our workflow. So in the companion case management tab, we have the workflows tab right here, right under templates. So we're going to click on that. And now we are going to be taken to a very similar screen to the templates where we can see all of our existing workflows right here. So for example, we can use one of our existing. So for example, we have a rehoming workflow. So that is sending an email, and if they don't respond, it's sending a text, and it is also updating the case types and statuses. But to create a new one, I'm going to go back to that landing page and click on the plus right here. So we can name our workflow. So I'm going to name this Pet Food Pantry Follow-Up and click save on that. So now we can go ahead and put in any of our components. So first we're going to send out our email template because typically email is the first line of defense, and then if they don't answer the email, we send a text because then we know that they'll see it probably sooner. So if we click on email, we are going to choose an email template. So I'm going to click on the following up on your request one that we just created. And these are the names of the templates that you've created that say internal on them. And that is going to send to the case contact. So now once we get down to response received yes, so this is what's going to happen when the case contact replies to this email. So what we're going to do is add an action, and we're going to change the case status to active, and we're going to change the case type to pet food pantry. And then we're also going to assign this to myself. So for example, I manage a lot of our pet food pantry cases within the organization. So then that is really great to split up your workload and make sure the cases get to who they need to. So once that has an action added, we have the status changing, the type changing, and then it will be assigning. So then we can end the workflow right here if we don't want any further steps to be taken. And then here, if they do not respond, we want to send them something else so we can know that they're still interested and know that they are still in need of the pet food pantry. So we are going to put in our time delay option. So we're going to wait 2 days, which is pretty standard. And then you can choose hours or days right here. So once that is good, we can click on this plus, and then we can add another time delay, an email, a text, a web form, a survey, an action, anything like that. So the web forms and the surveys are also another great option if you want to gather more information from your case. So this is good for, say, example, an intake questionnaire, if they're an owner surrender program, or a vet care questionnaire about their medical history, if it's a spay and neuter program, for example. That's when these work really well because all of the information from that form that's sent out through the workflow will go into the case automatically. So it will add tags, descriptions, animal profiles, anything like that. So it's really great to gather extra information if they've been accepted into a program, for example. Crisis boarding is another good one that the workflows work well for. For example, the questionnaires, learning a little bit about the pet and finding a compatible temporary foster for them. But other than that, we will get into that in our surveys webinar. So for now, we are just going to use our text template that we created. So we are going to click on thanks for applying again. This is the one that we created. So same thing, response received, yes. We are going to put in this same action as before because we are getting a text response from them. So we will go to action right here and we'll change our status to active and pet food pantry right here. And we will also assign it to ourselves or any team member who would manage it. And then if they don't respond, we can put in another time delay. So we'll give them 2 more days to respond, and we can send them another text if we want to, or we can completely end the workflow, assuming that they are no longer interested. So we'll put another 2-day time delay on this and add the little plus sign, and then we're going to put in another action, which is going to change our case status to an archived case. Our case type will stay as pet food pantry, or you can do no change here as well, whichever you prefer. And then we can no change assign, or we can also unassign it as well. So for this one, if they're no longer interested, we can have that as an unassigned case because typically nobody would be working that case. So now if we look at our workflow, these can get pretty long if you have kind of a really big process for following up, gathering more information, things like that. But this is a pretty simple one, and I know these can be overwhelming creating them, so we are always happy to help you set up your workflows. So feel free to reach out to us at help@Doobert.com, and either myself or my team members will be glad to help you get these set up and teach you how to use them efficiently with any of your programs. So I don't want anyone to feel overwhelmed by these because I know they can kind of be a little confusing at first. But once we have all of our fields filled in, we can go ahead and save and publish our workflow. So now we have our workflow save and publish. So now down here, it is going to be in our pet pantry food follow-up. So we have a status as published, and then we have a date created, and here we can go in and copy the workflow if we have one that we want to build off of, delete it, anything like that, or if we click on it, we can edit it. And then once you have a lot of workflows, you can also use some of the search and filter options. So you can search one, check out the status, whether you have a draft or it's published, and then you can also look at the last updated as well. So totally up to you if you want to easily search for any of your workflows. So now our workflow is ready to go. So we're going to go into a case and send it out. So back in our companion case management tab, I'm going to click on cases right here. And I am going to click on our advanced filters and look for one that was assigned to myself. So right here, we will just click on this owner surrender one. It's a pet food pantry workflow, but just so you guys get the idea of how to send this out, I am going to end any current workflow if there's one going. So we're going to click yes, continue to end anything current. And now we're going to click on this execute workflow button right here. So now we're going to choose our workflow. So I'm going to click on pet food pantry follow up. And if that is all good, we're going to click execute. So now that has sent out the email first, so I can show you guys that email in my inbox. Okay, so now we're in my inbox, and this is our email that we got from the workflow. So, Doobert team following up. Hey there, thanks for applying for our pet food pantry. We've received your request and we'll review shortly. Please reply with any questions or concerns. So, if we were to reply for this, then the action on the case would change to the active and it would be assigned. And if we don't respond after 2 days, it is going to send me a text. So that is just a little bit about how they work. So now we are going to jump into our Q&A where we go over some of the commonly asked questions that we get on demos or to our help email, really anything that is common for this topic. Okay, so for our Q&A, our first question is, how do I get started getting forms and surveys built for my workflows? So great question. That is a very easy process. So you would just email us at help@Doobert.com and tell us a little bit about your program, what you're looking for with your forms, and what your plan is to collect the data or what you want to use it for. So once we get all that data from you, we will go ahead and build that custom form for you. It can be as elaborate or simple as you want it to be. It is totally up to you, but you get 3 forms on the Elite plan and 10 on the Pro, so you can choose a plan that fits your needs. But once you have that plan and your forms, we create them for you and we integrate them into your Doobert account. And we will also help you in setting up your workflow for that survey and show you how it works. So it's really easy, and I definitely can see it as a huge time saver for any program that has a spay and neuter or an intake, really anything that there is pet data required for is a really good use for these surveys. And our next question is, can I send out workflows to multiple people at once? And that's a really great question, and it is something that we are looking at building in the future, but as of right now, they have to be executed by one at a time. So when you go into that case individually and you choose execute workflow, that is really the most efficient way to do it as of now. Or if you have a form that is filled out, have the automated workflow send out. So while it is something that we know is popular, we are working on building it. But as of right now, there is really only 1, 2-ish ways of sending out the workflows. But other than that, that is all the questions I have on workflows for today. So thank you guys so much for joining us for today's webinar, and I hope to see you guys in future webinars.